It is day 5 of former President Trump's civil fraud trial here in New York. The state attorney general's office, is accusing him of severely inflating his net worth and is seeking $250 million and a slew of sanctions that could make it harder for Trump to do business in New York.
Joining us now in Studio 57 is CBS News reporter Graham Cates. Good to see you, man.
You too.
So talk us through what we learned this week in court specifically.
Sure. So, this was an unusual setup for a case that's largely about accounting when you really think about it. And the first two witnesses were accountants. And the thing that was different was that former president of the United States, Donald Trump, was there for the first 2.5 days of the civil fraud trial. He said he didn't have to be there, so he said he was there to show how important it is to him. And it should be. I mean, the stake, in some ways, the kind of the foundation of his company and his father's company and half a century of work is at stake in this trial. Already before it started, the judge in the trial found him and his company and two of his sons liable for persistent fraud over the course of a decade and ordered the decertification of their businesses here in New York, which is a massive blow to the company, arguably the worst thing that's ever happened to the company, right? So he was there. While sitting there listening to what was at times very, very dry, kind of line by line going through spreadsheets, testimony from his longtime accountant, Donald Bender. They had known each other for decades. And here they were kind of in opposition. This is the second time that Donald Bender has had to testify against Trump. Last year in Trump's company's criminal fraud trial, Donald Bender was one of the key witnesses. And for the second time, they did that this year and they did that last year. Trump's attorneys have tried to kind of portray these issues as being the accountant's fault. Sure, there were valuations of buildings that didn't meet what the attorney general says the building should have been valued at. But they were saying, why didn't his accountant catch that? And the attorney general's office, just as last year the district attorney is saying, and Donald Bender too is saying, it's not my job or his job to catch when you say something's worth a different amount. It's your job to give me proper figures. And that's in the heart of this alleged fraud.
So he's actually making similar efforts. I think that maybe is what you're outlining in the criminal case.
Yeah, so there's at the end of the day yesterday, his attorney in that attorney general's case said today they're going to ask for a halt to the trial. They're going to ask for a stay while they try to get through some of the issues they've had early on. And at almost the exact same time, I mean, within minutes of each other, and I don't think they coordinated it like this, but they filed a motion to dismiss his January 6th special counsel case. And in that instance, they were arguing that he had presidential immunity, that case was about things that he did while he was president. And then also, really within minutes, they made public his motion to dismiss his New York criminal case.
Yes.
And that was about falsification of business records. Of course, he's pled not guilty in all of these. And in that case, they kind of pleaded that, one, it took too long to get where they were going, and two, that the case doesn't make sense, and they want the case dismissed for that. So just within a few minutes of each other, they've tried to stop the three of the 5 major cases against him.
This is like the usual tactic, though, to kind of constantly throw roadblocks in almost all of his cases. Graham, it's really interesting stuff, though. Back to the courthouse you go. Thank you.